People tune in and go, what the hell's going on? Oh, there it is. Live stream.
You're live, Hebsy.
We are live. New episode. We are live. Blue Jays. Talk anyone?
We'll call it, let's date stamp.
People tune in and go, what the hell's
There you are. Okay, you sound great on the live stream. So I'm going to tweet that out, and then, you can chat up the red carpet, red carpeters.
All right.
Big day. You excited? You got your Jays stuff on. You're all ready. You all amped up?
What's that?
Are you amped up? Are you
Not
excited?
yet. Not yet. I have to get this done here. YouTube.com/ let me just get my name in there.
But
And
what are you
then-
doing?
What do you mean?
Like, don't you just retweet my tweet, or do you? Because I'm going to tweet you right now.
You are you?
Yeah.
You better
Like
get your
everything.
ass in gear then. Because I just sent a tweet. New episode. We're live. Blue Jays talk anyone? Nice picture of you and me from 2018, I think.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. In fact, look at that. Hey, look how short your hair was there.
I know it comes. Yeah. I don't know why I wore that shirt. If you
Yeah,
could
we're
wear-
excited about today. It's going to be great. It's funny because I want to be a fan, but I also want to be, a balanced kind of, journalisty kind of. But in this case here, your heart says one thing, your head says something else. Like the fan in you goes, I don't know, something could go wrong. They could run the bases poorly or fail to get down a bunt, or I don't know, something, right? And your mind goes, they're capable of looking really bad. And then the other part is, oh gosh, remember Bautista's home run? Remember how electric it was? Remember how great? Remember how we were out of it in that game. The worst inning, the weirdest inning ever. We were like, we got screwed. The umpire screwed us. We got screwed. And then like just so unexpected. I just think like completely unexpected. No one sitting there said, oh yeah, we'll come back in the bottom of the inning. Oh yeah, we'll hit a big home run and there'll be 3 errors. No way. So how do you top that, Mike?
I don't know, man, but we had the back-to-back big moments because you had the Batista bat flip, which was magic. You're right. That was a crazy 7th inning. And then was it the next season in the wild card? You had the Encarnacion. Edwin hit that walk-off, right, against the Orioles, I think. But that was a big Edwin homer. They said that was the loudest the Dome's ever been, was that Edwin blast.
Who said that it was the loudest the Dome had ever
I don't
been?
know. It's right up there with the bat.
Like the Carter, were they measuring it when Carter hit his home run?
I do not know. I don't know.
At peak crescendo? Like when Tom Cheeks hit, like at that moment. How high was the level? I mean, I love when they do this. And what was the exit velocity, by the way, of Carter's home run compared to Bautista's home run? Did anyone catch Bautista's home run? Was it worth anything? Did anyone ever say, hey, what's that about? What the one that Bautista hit? What's that worth? No, I don't think anyone did.
No, I can tell you by envisioning those 2 home runs that Batista had a higher exit velocity than Joe Carter's, which was kind of that little bit of a loopy thing over the
exit velo, eh? I love that. Exit velo. What do you got planned for Thanksgiving? Or should we talk about this in the show? Well, this is the show. This is it.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people listen to the podcast, which means they don't get anything until we play Los Lobos. So a lot of this is,
What do you mean?
like,
What do they
okay.
mean?
Well,
By the way, I'm really sorry about that. They had to cancel Los Lobos. They're exhausted from their tour with the Tedeschi
didn't
Trucks
hear
band. Well, I'm telling you that they're not going to be at Massey Hall or Hamilton. We were supposed to go to the Hamilton show. Any of that stuff.
that sucks.
It does, but like Steve called me, he says, "Look, we're exhausted." You're talking about men in their 60s, and they just did a grueling tour where they, like I say, they opened for Tedeschi Trucks for like the whole summer, all over the country. And, and they're supposed to start in Canada. I think they were starting in Victoria, like now.
Wow.
They would have already been on the road. I think they're supposed to be in like Edmonton this weekend, Calgary, but they had to cancel. They were opening for the Mavericks, and they just said, we're exhausted. So, all right, we'll see you some other time. So anyway, we'll go another time when
they're
come.
massive in Edmonton because of the Los Lobos tie. Everybody's discovering Los Lobos because
La
Bamba. What did I say?
You said Los Lobos, that's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'd been there many times before. That's the other thing too. Is I had said to Steve, it's like Edmonton. They've played dozens of times in Edmonton. many times in Edmonton, indoors and outdoors, festivals over the years. He's like, yeah, we started playing in Edmonton in 1984. What? Okay. All right. Yeah. I guess you guys are pretty well known. So yeah, they canceled that show. Okay. If you want, Mike, we're still early here. So we're still on the red carpet. So what do we got on the show today? And there's so much stuff that I had to add, like little things that are going on, but like the big picture is the Jays, but like, what was the plan here? A preview?
You're leading with Jays, right? Like this is
well. Here's the thing. This is what happens: is that when a huge event takes place in Toronto, a huge sporting event, all the non-sports media and non-sports people,
right,
like come out of the woodwork and end up saying and doing like fucking stupid things that would never be done during a regular season game. No, it's the playoffs. Oh, now the entire world is looking at Toronto, right? And the fact that Sportsnet's producing their own games. We don't have to watch the feed from TNT or CBS or ABC or ESPN or Fox or any of that shit, right? They're up here doing the game, right, but we're watching it on our televisions, on our screens, on our devices with our announcers, with the people that we're comfortable with. And that's so important. The only problem is that not Dan Schulman. Right. He got to go to the States because he's got this ESPN thing. So we got to talk Schulman out of that. Dan, enough with the ESPN. We get it, right? But come on, stay here. Because as much as, we want to hear Buck and Pat, I don't know if I can take Pat in the master of the obvious sometimes in the playoffs. I don't know if he's a ball player. He plays ball. Like I can't. You know what I mean? I gotta have so I'm gonna miss Dan. We're gonna miss Dan. Even on local radio, we're not gonna hear Dan. Local feed, it's Ben Wagner. It's the fan fun. So Dan goes from being our numero uno guy, the voice of reason, and he'll still be covering the series, but he's doing it for ESPN radio. So can we tune it in across the border? Like, what's the nearest ESPN radio station that we can pick up that you can get that's not blacked out? Or whatever, the MLB blacks out, like literally over the air, like nothing against Ben Wagner, but I want to hear Dan's call. There he is, right? On 1520 Waterdown, New York. It's ESPN radio. So got to find that because I'm not going to be, because the games are 4:00 games. I mean, there's other plans. It's Thanksgiving this weekend. It's not like I'd be in front of the television set for the entire game. Right, or the device going. I'm in the car. I'm delivering. There's stuff to do. There's going to be last minute shopping. Go get that. We don't have enough. Oyster sauce. So you got to be in the car.
La-di-da, Hebsy, la-di-da, oyster sauce. Wow. Everyone else has ketchup and mustard, but oyster.
You've never had oyster sauce before?
No, it just sounds so.
In your stuffing, you never had oyster sauce, for example.
Not that I know of. But
what do you guys have for Thanksgiving?
I actually don't know what the plan is at all at this point. Like, I know my daughter is taking. I mean, I don't know if we should save all this. We can dive right in. It's 9:00. But
it's 9:00.
Yeah,
let's go.
Ready to rock? Okay,
let's effing go.
Let's effing go. All right, Hebsy. We're recording in 5, 4, 3.
The following podcast is proudly sponsored by Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. If you haven't played it before, I suggest you play it now. If you have played it before, I suggest you go play it again. The colors are spectacular. Did you notice in the last week, it went from being, it's not, to wow, where did this color scheme come from? It's absolutely beautiful. 18 holes of championship golf, suitable for all levels of play. Breathtaking views. And I don't use that word lightly, oh my God. Rattlesnake Point, Mount Nemo, just beautiful. The Niagara Escarpment is gorgeous and the finest customer service that's allowed by law. Yeah, I looked it up. You cannot find nicer people than those at Crosswinds. You'll feel like a member of a private golf course when you experience what Crosswinds has to offer. Not just the golf, everything. The whole enchilada, as they say. As who says? What are you talking about, Hebsy? Don't delay. There's only so many good days of golf left. I am chalishing to play Crosswinds again. Mike, you know what that word means. Chalishing. Book your tee time online now at crosswindsgolf.com and save $10 per golfer. And when you get there, tell them Hebsy sent you. Now, Mike, let's start the big podcast. Hey, sports fans, welcome to Hebsy on Sports. It's episode 304, but really, it's the Thanksgiving playoff episode. Did you say playoffs? Wait a minute. But can we win a round of playoffs? I don't care what team it is. Can we win a round of playoffs? Yes, we can. What a weekend it's going to be in the Big Smoke. The games are here, right here. We're doing our own thing. We're loving it. I'm a sports fan. Sure. I'm a Blue Jays fan since day one. Please don't tell me stuff about the Jays. I already know that stuff. Don't say, oh, did you know that? I know it. I'm a historian. I've been there since day one. I get it. Okay? So you don't have to impress me with your knowledge of sports, of Blue Jays. I got it all. It's all right up here. Toronto Mike running the show from his new Toronto studio. I'm here in Little Italy, which, of course, is the center of sports action here. It doesn't matter if it's the World Cup or whatever's going on. We'll just run out into the streets of Little Italy and cheer if the Jays win. We'll start our own little parade. It's a day we've all been waiting for, I think. Really, Mike? For a long time. Home playoff game, Blue Jays. It's going to be wild. And it's the Thanksgiving weekend. It could not be better. We're going to preview the Jays Mariners series. Today, it's going to be today. They're going to play tomorrow for sure. Might play Sunday. Hope not, but could be. There are other sports to talk about as well. Not as important. Well, I shouldn't say that. What's going to happen to Hockey Canada? How many different slush funds did they have to pay off victims of sexual abuse and harassment? And how much more covering up is there? Oh my God. Should they change the name to Canada Hockey? Would that make a difference? Should there be a new ministry to look after just hockey in this country? And if so, will they enact meaningful changes? We'll get into some football, some golf, plenty of sports media talk. First, let's welcome in one of the biggest Blue Jay fans on the planet. Dare I say it, Toronto Mike, you have been a Blue Jay fan since what year?
1983.
Wow. And what was your earliest Blue Jay memory? What got you hooked on this team? The logo? What was it?
I would
George Bell? What was it? Who was it?
Close, but I was visiting my uncle's cottage for a week, and he would have Tom and Jerry calling games on the radio, and I would listen. So I fell in love first by hearing the Blue Jay games on the radio, and that was it. I got hooked in 83, the summer of 83, and then in 84 when the Tigers got off to that big start, but we started clawing away at it. I felt like, at the time, it felt like, hey, we have a chance here. I would look at my magic number I would check the pennant race and the Toronto Star every morning, and that's it. 85, we know what happens. That was it. Drive of 85.
There you go. Well, guess what? It's happening again. Playoffs. Yeah, we missed last season under Charlie Montoyo. The Blue Jays won 91 games. And people are like, oh, well, blah, blah, it was okay. No, they should have made the playoffs last year. Might have saved Charlie Montoyo's job. I don't know. Maybe they weren't ready last year. I don't know, but they won 91 games and they fell one game short of making the postseason. So this year it was like, okay, what do the Jays have to do to make the postseason? And I think, Mike, somewhere, I know I said it. I said they got to win one more game than they did last year. They got to win 92 games.
You did say it because I pulled the clip. Brad Wheeler was on the show. Brad and I thought we'd win 94 games, and you said 92.
Because they're playing in the American League East. But anyway, and I made a couple of bucks on that one because I went under the 92.5. But anyway, That's neither here nor there. They fell one game short. One game. And to me, it was like, could Charlie Montoyo have made – I blamed it on Charlie. Could Charlie Montoyo have done something? And remember, this is the same guy that put Matt Shoemaker out there for 4 innings in that pseudo wasn't even playoff thing, that whole clusterfuck, right? So I didn't like him anyway. I didn't like the way he managed games. And I said that. Great for player development. Hell of a nice guy, like Uncle Charlie. He was like Uncle Charlie, like right. Charlie O'Casey on My Three Sons. He's Uncle Charlie. Like to play the bongos and the marimbas and the tamla drums and the whole deal. Anyway, so what happens is 88 games into the season, I'm still going, what the fuck is with this team? They were 4 games above 500. Mike, you don't even have to pull the tapes. People know this, okay? I know my baseball. It wasn't going to do it. It wasn't going to happen. Couldn't depend on other teams to screw up, okay? You had to take matters into your own hands, and he did it. So 88 games in. Jays are 4 games above 500. They fire Montoyo. A lot of people surprised. A lot of people pissed. Bring back Charlie. John Schneider, he has no major league experience. Are you throwing the season? What the hell? Well, since then, the Jays have gone 46-28. Think about that. 46-28. They secured home field advantage a few days ago because you know that it would not be nearly as exciting if the Jays were in the playoffs, woohoo, and they're playing in Tampa or Seattle.
Right.
Which might have been okay for the fans on the West Coast there that travel, 15 hours to go see the games in Seattle, but not for us. We want home field. We want the games here in the shitback stadium that we've got here. Oh, that they've renovated a bit, but still all the seats face the 55-yard line. I figured out, Mike, there's about 17,000 what I would consider good seats at the Dome. The problem is it holds like 50, 45.
Right. Yeah.
But there's about 7. The horseshoe from first base all the way around to third, right? Anything in there are pretty good seats. You can follow the ball well. You don't crane your neck. But after that, when you go down the lines, not good. But hey, it's our home. I know it's going to be so loud. I'm into that. It's going to be great. I didn't buy tickets. $200 a ticket.
Ooh.
For a wild card. I'll save my money for like the championship series, the World Series.
Right.
The Dome's going to be closed, by the way.
And why is that? Do you have is it because it's cold?
Yeah.
It is cold.
And it gets cold. When the sun goes down before 7. The game starts at 4:07. If the game's not over, and even if it is, I get a little chilly. So that's wy you got a dome. You want it to be comfortable for people, right? It's gonna be fine. It'll be
loud.
Loud, and Alek Manoah gets that. I mean, things could not have worked out better. Right? It's what if there's a game 162? Oh, we'll pitch Manoah. Well, no, we won't. Well, yeah, we will. Well, no. Well, I spoke too soon. Yeah, you spoke too soon. Who gives a fuck? Game 162 and game 148. That's what we were talking about. We figured out the rotation for the next 4 weeks. And as long as there's no rainouts or double headers, right? And if we still need a win, game 162, we wasted so much energy on that bullshit. So much energy. What are we gonna do? Oh God. By the way, we are playing another team. The Seattle Mariners. They won 90 games, Mike, this year. They were 90-17.
Yeah.
Did you know last year they won 90 games?
Back to back. Just like us.
Yeah. Do you know they haven't been in the playoffs since the year of the small potato? They've been 20 years since they were the team with the longest playoff drought. And here's what they get to do. They get to battle their way down the stretch. They get to secure a playoff position, okay, for the first time. Woohoo! They're exhausted. They got to travel across the country after playing a doubleheader the other day. They don't know what day it is. They don't know whether to shit or wind their watch. And here they are in Toronto, Canada, okay, which luckily for them, you don't need to be fully vaccinated.
That's
and
right.
By the way, did you hear the news that perhaps Aaron Judge was not vaccinated when he came to Canada?
Oh, I didn't hear that.
And that the 2 home runs that he hit in Toronto could be taken off the board? That he would
only
have 60 home runs? They'd only have 60 home runs? Yeah.
No, that's not true. That's not.
Apparently there was a Yankee that was not fully vaccinated. Anyway, that's just something I heard. It's got nothing to do with us. Wait till if we get to play the Yankees, which we probably won't, but that would be great. Anyway.
Right.
So here's where we're at. We got Alek Manoah against a guy named Luis Castillo. Really good pitcher. Now, I know most folks, they don't know. What do I know from the Seattle Mariners? I've been watching some games, did a bit of research, which I want to do. This is a guy who played against the Jays, pitched against the Jays earlier this year, pitched really well, lost 2-1, but pitched well. But he was pitching for Cincinnati at the time when we played Cincinnati. All right. And they traded him at the deadline to Seattle. Hell of a pitcher, capable of throwing a shutout, just like Manoah. This is going to be a really good pitching matchup. This is going to be the type of game, Mike, where if we can get on the board first, if we can break through first, now the crowd's into the game. But if this Castillo starts, mowing down some Blue Jays, and this guy is a strikeout pitcher too, and the fans are frustrated, we're not getting hits and stuff like that, I think Seattle has an advantage there. If they can keep the game close. The Jays are the team that can bust open with like tons of runs, not Seattle. Seattle's more of a punch and Judy team, not high batting averages, right? They don't score a lot of runs, 26th in all of Major League Baseball offensively, a 230 team batting average. Ooh. And we got sluggers galore. Right. Sluggers galore. But The Mariners shine on pitching and defense. And I'm not the only one. It's, pitching and defense wins championships. We know that, right? Seattle, the number one defensive team in the American League. They don't throw the ball away. They don't give up runs. They don't do that. They're number 5 in the league when it comes to pitching ERA. Pretty good. The Jays, the number 4 defense in the league, which is better than I thought. I was like, really? Because we think of, but really, Matt Chapman is a stud. Vladdy's a very, very good defensive first baseman. Bo, not so much, but after that, our defense is pretty good. Our catching defense is really good.
Yeah.
So, and we're number 7 in ERA. So as much as we think, we got the great pitch, we don't. We don't have the great pitching. We got Manoah. We got Gosman. We got, Romano in the bullpen. And, Stripling's been a nice surprise. But our bullpen is not, it's okay. Like Romano's great. The rest, it's okay. We got one lefty, Mesa. Seattle's got a much better bullpen, high leverage bullpen. Lefty, righty, lefty, righty. It's going to be really interesting. By the way, you know the manager of the Seattle Mariners?
Lou Piniella.
Right. In 1989, Scott Service, 7th year managing the Mariners. 7 years. Seattle's really good at grinding out at bats with, walks and hit by pitch and stuff like that. But I think that's going to be tough against the Jays because one thing I think our pitching staff has, it seems that way, is they have control. They don't have a lot of wildness on this team. That's not an issue. Pete Walker's done a terrific job, pound the strike zone, with the exception of Kikuchi and Mitch White and guys like that who won't even be on the roster. They're going to announce the roster in, I think, in the next 45 minutes. But it's likely, like you don't need a lot of pitchers if you're in a 3-game series. And then you can change your roster for each series. You can announce who your roster is. So you don't need all these pitchers. These guys aren't going to get in the game, even if they're losing 13-1, God forbid. So they're going to be out, and you're going to have, you're going to have your replacement type guys. Because if Schneider needs to pinch hit, which he will, he's looking way ahead. If I pinch hit Kirk, let's say, and he gets on, I got to pinch run Zimmer for Kirk. So Kirk's out of the game. And do I use Zimmer as my defensive replacement, or is he gone now? Because I got Jackie Bradley Jr. or I got Tapia or whatever. So it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be good. Some good managerial strategy. I like this. Very, very exciting. But Manoah's the guy. And I think you're looking at a shutout today. I don't see Seattle getting nothing off of this guy. The way he's pitching, Mike, pitcher of the month in the American League in September, a 0.88 ERA. He's getting, can we say this? He's getting better.
Yeah.
He doesn't give up, Mike. He doesn't give up runs. He doesn't give up runs. 2. He gives up 2 runs is the most he gives up. Take a look at his last 8 or 10 starts. Like 0, 0, 1, 1, 2. He doesn't give up runs. So not only does he keep you in the game, but with a team like the Jays, who lead the league in just about every offensive category. All your guys, you need 3 runs, 3, and you're winners. 3 runs. Okay. You got George, you got Bo, you got Vladdy, you got Teoscar, you got Kirky, you got Chappie, you got Jano, you got 2-hit Witt. You're loaded top to bottom. I would hit Merrifield second. I'd hit him second. This guy's hitting everything. This guy led the league in hits a couple of times. He's a singles hitter. He can hit the other way. He can run. If Springer doesn't get on base, now you got Merrifield, who's like a leadoff hitter, who if he gets on, he can run. You can hit and run with him. That's just me. Vladdy has been under too much pressure. All right. He's chasing pitches like he's never done before. He was awful in September. Right. And he's just trying too hard. He's going after those sliders away. He just can't hit those pitches. I drop him in the order. I would. I don't care. This team's got to win. And this Merrifield is hitting it. You take the guys that are hot. Manoah's hot. Throw him out there. Merrifield, everything he hits turns to gold. Move him up in the order. That's just me.
I'm excited, Hebsy. Yeah. 7 hours to go. I wish we could throw the pitch right now.
No. What are you talking about? Noon. There's a game at noon today. Tampa, Cleveland.
Yeah, noon. But I have to work, Hebsy. But I'll be tuning in at 4 p.m., 4:07 for the Jays. A couple of quick notes there. That was awesome. I'm all primed now.
2:30, Mike. Pre-game show starts at 2:30 on Sportsnet.
Yeah, I don't.
Remember, Sportsnet has all the coverage.
I want to hear about your thoughts on the coverage, but first, just a few very quick notes. One is that shout out to Scott Mayo on your YouTube channel. He points out this is, of course, the battle of the 77 expansion, Mariners and Blue Jays. That's kind of neat. The 77 expansion teams.
Really?
One more thing.
Is it really?
Scott, I think that's neat, buddy. Me and you, we're on the same team here.
I'm kidding.
Circle,
I'm kidding. It's exciting. I'm sure people in Seattle are excited too. And remember, a lot of people who live in the western part of Canada have been Seattle Mariners fans / followers for how many years? 45 years, right?
Right.
West Coast baseball, people in that part of the world, not just when the Blue Jays came to town, which wasn't that often. Right. A lot of folks went down to Seattle, became Mariners fans. Good organization and a beautiful ballpark, a gorgeous ballpark. Not like our fucking piece of shit hell. Oh, God damn it. I hate that too, because that's what's going to happen is all these people are going to come from around the world to cover the series and go, what is this? What is this?
Well, when it's full, you'll admit when there's 45,000
when there's Mike,
in there,
when there's 45,000 in any ballpark during the playoffs,
right?
Okay. In any ball, that's like saying, oh well, the Scotiabank Arena, when it's the playoffs, like any other arena. Come on,
but it's a highly functional ballpark. Like it might not be
shit. Like I told you, spending that kind of money for those kind of go have it out. Go, okay? Enjoy yourself. I can't. And the seats have got to be really good. Or I'm not going to go because the experience isn't the same if I'm not in, if my viewpoint of the game is. And plus, I have to tell you, the games on television are so well done. I mean, sound and picture nowadays, Mike, is so good. Like you really do that experience. The television experience is so much better than it used to be. What they have to offer now is just like really. And if you're with your friends or your family and you're all hanging around and you can go to the fridge and have a beer or whatever it is and still engage, it's still great. It's not like being at the game. I get it. But man, $200 a ticket. Yeah. You know how many rounds of golf that is? You know how much? Man, that's a lot. Anyway.
So last thought before we move, I want to hear about what you think of the coverage of the team this year in the playoffs. But just a reminder, we got the 91 wins last year, but remember we had 3 home ballparks. I know you didn't like that excuse I used at the end of last season, but if we had the Dome as our home ballpark for the entire season last season, we would have made the postseason. That's my thoughts on it.
Not necessarily.
Well, I don't have the
no, but I'm sure other teams have excuses, maybe not as good as yours for not having different homes or whatever.
1 game win, in Buffalo or in wherever we were.
I get it.
Where the hell we were. Okay.
I get it.
You need it.
Okay. So are you over that now?
And Charlie, in my little circle, when they let Charlie go,
I know.
There was no tears.
Charlie.
It was like, I liked the guy, but I think everybody knew that we needed to upgrade the managerial position if we were going to take a run at the World Series.
But what did you know about, what did you really know about John Schneider, right? He's like, John Schneider's like one of the players. Like John Schneider to me is like the non-playing manager.
Right.
Like if they said, John, we need you in there to catch, right? That he would activate himself, get behind the plate, right? And like be the 4th or 5th string catcher, the emergency catcher. Like, you're naming your roster. Schneider's like, I can still play. He looks like that guy. He's one of the guys. He's like, it's like, okay, we need to pick a guy who's going to be manager. Okay, Schneids, you're the guy. Don't you get that feeling?
They seem to like him and they play well for the guys. So
yeah, he's like one of the players. He's like the 4th string catcher. Right, let's talk about the media coverage.
Yeah, but can you explain to me as we segue into that conversation?
We try to.
How is it this year that Sportsnet gets to call the playoff games, where in the past we used to lose the Sportsnet crew and we would go to like an American crew? Like, what's different this year? Explain it.
Well, I would think that there must have been some negotiation somewhere along the line saying, look, we should in Canada be able to produce through MLB. We should be able to produce our own for our own country, right? It's a completely different entity, right? As opposed to we're going to supply all of the technical back end and you guys supply the announcers and the producers, which is the way it's been for 100 years.
Right.
Right. It doesn't matter who so the US network that has the rights, which include international rights, I guess, and that's a whole other level that I'm not familiar with, is, they must have said, listen, we want to be able to produce our own broadcast as we've done all season long. And we want, because we're the national carrier in Canada. And there is no national carrier in the United States. There's no exclusive national carrier for teams because it's all local. But the Jays are the only team in Canada, and the national carrier is Sportsnet. Now, TSN does carry baseball, Sunday Night Baseball, ESPN feed, but they can't cover Blue Jay games. So in this particular case, I'm assuming they just went and said, look, can we do it? And Major League Baseball said, you go ahead. And there's some kind of revenue split or however that works. I don't know.
Well, why didn't we get that in 2015?
What am I? Did I get here before you? I just tried my best. I don't know why it was that way before. We just accepted it.
Okay.
We accepted it. We bent over because we're Canadians. We bent over and we said, go ahead. Go ahead, America. Go ahead, baseball. Give it to us. We know you don't want to come to Canada. We know you hate Canada. We know that the ratings aren't going to be good. Who the hell wants to watch Toronto play? We get all that, okay? You've kicked us enough times. You've tried to stick it up our ass, and now we want our own people. But the irony is we don't get Dan Shulman. Yeah, love Buck. I can tolerate sometimes Pat because he's, Mike, he's a ball player. He plays ball.
Right.
He would love to get a hit here. Like sometimes Pat will say something and I go, whoa, wow. That was a good nugget. Wow. And there's perspective there and there is context. Wow. As opposed to, he's 29th and
Look, on behalf of all Jays fans who are watching and listening to you right now.
No, Dan Shulman.
We prefer Shulman doing play-by-play and Buck Martinez doing
right. So to me, that's the worst part of, like, for example, if ESPN didn't have the radio rights to the postseason, Dan would be doing his gig here. There wouldn't be anything for him at ESPN. But sort of unbeknownst to us, we weren't thinking during the season going, if the Jays make the playoffs, we're not going to hear Dan's voice. Nobody was going like that. We're thrilled about the Jays. But now the realization is we love our Jays, but we love our Jays when Dan's doing the game. Right? Dan and Buck, right?
But we love our games if you're doing it. We love our Jays if you're doing the games. Like at this point in the season, I want to watch the game. I actually, you could stick in, it could be you and I calling.
No, I get it. But again, so that to me is that's the irony of all this is we get our own Sportsnet gets its own broadcast. Right. An hour and a half pregame show, 4-hour postgame show, inserts, everything. Like you name it, man.
Right.
Like everybody, right? Jamie,
familiar Chiron,
Caleb, Hazel, Arash, right. Ben, Arden, Shy, Ben, and Buck and Tabby, but not Dan. He's committed to ESPN radio. We're not going to hear him on local radio or local audio because that'll be the Sportsnet 590, the fan feed. Ben Wagner on the call. I don't know who's going to do color with Ben Wagner. I hope is it Arden or Ben Nicholson-Smith? It's just weird to me, Mike.
It's super weird. Do we know which series Dan is covering?
The Jays.
Oh, I didn't know.
That's the irony. That's the irony of it, Mike. He's going to be calling the Jays game with. Yeah. I don't know who his sidekick, John Kruk, Dave. I don't even know. From a different booth at the Dome for ESPN Radio, and any of my listeners tell me, where can I get the ESPN radio feed so I can listen to Dan Shulman doing the game when I'm in the car, when I'm away from my screen?
Great question.
Tell me, okay? Sportsnet's expecting an average of 2.5 million viewers to tune in for the weekend games. 2.5 million, baby. That's huge. That's a huge bonus for them. Think about it. 2 playoff
It does feel low to me. I feel like
average, Mike. It's 4:00. Who do you know how many people at 4:00 are going to be in front of their television besides you? You work from home. People have work to do. People are going places. You know what the roads are like at 4:00 in the afternoon?
Okay, if Jays win game 1, there should be a spike game 2, right? Saturday.
But it's a Saturday. Again, 4:00 on a Saturday, different story.
Right.
Average. They're expecting an average.
Could have been worse.
But you know what that means? It means they go to their advertisers who are chalishing. Oh, boy. Ooh, how many viewers? Oh, we're expecting about 2.5 million. Okay. What are the rates now? Selling our own spots. This is beautiful, beautiful. Our own production, beautiful. Huge bonus. Huge. This is big money. What they're going to make here is going to make up for all the money they spent for that hockey deal that still has a couple of years left on it, right?
Well, that is
Beautiful.
big money.
Wall-to-wall coverage. Okay. So that means that the salespeople are going out saying, yeah, we got Jamie and Joe and Caleb, and we got to break this baby. We got 90-minute post-game, pre-game show. Sell. You mean you're not going to be showing the top 50 plays of the week? You're going to show like a pregame show from 2:30 till 4? Wow. Sell. Make some money, because you're going to have a lot of eyeballs, a lot of ears. Gosh, even TSN, which like rare, like on Friday nights when the Jays are playing, TSN leads with football.
Right.
Because that's their product. That's their thing, right? And then, and by the way, our second story tonight, the Blue Jays won. But now it's like, we've got to get in on this. So TSN has the same, are granted the same, credentials that another non rights holder would get. You can't bring 1 million people down here at TSN. Jennifer Hedger was there yesterday. I'm like, whoa, Jennifer Hedger's at the game with Scott Mitchell, and they're on the field doing a little pregame hit. I'm going, okay, TSN at the Rogers Center. It looks weird, doesn't it?
On that note, this morning, Monica was watching some CP24, and they had somebody on the field talking to Mark Shapiro, and I was thinking, Bell Media is all in on this. They can't ignore this story.
Well, no, of course not. And again, whatever credentials you get, I mean, that's up to the Blue Jays too, and up to the Blue Jays, it's up to the league.
Yeah, but I mean,
and since TSN does show game, but I don't think it's like, like you can put in your request for however many, press credentials you want. You're only allotted so many, and non-rights holders, non-rights holders are not allotted much. But everybody from Sportsnet. Freaking everybody from sport. Like I'm telling you right now, you name it. It's going to listen. Chris Cuthbert and Craig Simpson. Okay, there'll be a hockey angle somewhere, and here we are. Let's go. No, just kidding. By the way, did you see Craig Simpson's daughter, 9-year-old daughter, had a hole in one? He recorded it. Now here's the other thing. Yeah. How many times, golfers, tell me, how many times have you gone up there and like recorded, not a photo, but recorded like a shot of your playing partner on a par 3?
Rarely.
And they've made a hole in one. Like never? Like
on television or son, maybe.
Like on television now, they'll have it saying, let's go back to Friday afternoon on the 4th hole at 7 a.m. This guy, hey, hole in one, because they got cameras everywhere. But come on. So here's Craig Simpson. So his 9-year-old daughter, Sammy, is on a par 3, and he was recording it. And so you don't see the ball because, it's very difficult. It's now traveling. And there's a wait, and then all of a sudden, you hear Simpson go, it's in, and his daughter jumps up and he's recording her, and I'm like, I've never seen, like from a home recording, someone getting a hole in one. It's remarkable. So he's like, I don't normally post on social media, but I had to post this. I was recording it. Here's my daughter's hole in one.
Wow, good for her.
It was great. So yeah, it's going to be electric at the Dome. You're going to have a bunch of reporters who don't know fuck all about baseball, don't know fuck all about the Blue Jays, asking stupid fucking questions of people because it's local media, right? I'm not mentioning any names. I haven't watched any of the coverage yet. I probably won't, but you know what I mean, Mike. This is what happens when there's a sporting event. You get these people that don't know anything about it going, here we are, Toronto. Here we are, Toronto, and with me is Mark Shapiro. Oh, I'm sorry, Shapiro. It's it's like, eesh. But they have to cover it because it's a big event, because there's going to be like the whole town's going to be talking about it. The whole country's talking about it. So get the local media in there. Just get in there.
Jump on the hype train. This is called the bandwagon, Hebsy, and the more the merrier. Everybody jump on. This is the time. But for the reporters, for the journalists that cover the team that are normally there, it's a pain in the ass. It's like I'm trying to get my story here. Some fuckhead from fucking whatever, this station here, this was credentialed. And here their morning show, right? For example, it's like, hi, we'd like to ask you some questions. Who are you? What's your name? How do you pronounce your name? Too much of it. Again, not mentioning any names, but you should get credentials.
It's a media feeding frenzy. Media feeding frenzy. Bell Media was, every morning show, every cooking show, whatever, cooking show. Get over there. Ask Mitch White what he had for dinner yesterday. Let's do a story. I don't know.
Will Mitch White be on the playoff roster?
No, Mitch White will not be on the playoff roster. You say Kikuchi. That's what I'm saying. Will not be on the playoff roster. They're going to announce it soon. I think I'll be right here. You need position players. Yeah. $290 plus tax. Yeah, the tickets were $200 a pop. And I'm like, I think I'll spend time on the couch and in the car this weekend following it. Tomorrow's starters, by the way, TBA, despite what you've been reading. And if Castillo gets knocked out early today, the Mariners, I'm sure, you're going to empty your bullpen because you don't have that many games left. Just remember one thing, Mike. Tomorrow, Saturday, is an elimination game.
Right. Absolutely.
It's an elimination game. Saturday's game is an elimination game. Got it?
Yeah.
So who do you want? You want Gosman or you want Stripling for game 2? Who you want? It's probably going to be Robbie Ray for them and his pants. But he's been shitty lately. He's been like, he lost 4 of his last 5 decisions, throwing a lot of pitches. And, you know, when I see him sweating early, I know it's going to be a long day for Robbie Ray. Yeah. So Robbie Ray, for sure is going to go for, I'm almost positive he's going in game 2 for Seattle. Do you go with Gosman or Stripling? In
my mind, I've always had it game 1, Manoah, Gosman 2, and Stripling 3. That's how it's always been in my mind. So what do you think, Hebsy?
No, I agree. If Gosman's good to go, if he that blister or that cut on his finger or that gash or that, whatever it is, because, you have to reveal injuries, but not, so what is it? Is it on the side of the finger? Does it affect your splitter? Like, does it rub against? Like, how many of them can you throw? Like, it's all that. Did you soak your finger in pickle brine to toughen it up?
And I just like to say, thankfully, the Jays ended up playing the Mariners, because if we were playing an Eastern time zone team, we would be getting that early game today, which is what, noon or something like that.
Oh yeah, Cleveland. No, today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so thankfully we got a West Coast team, so they can't give us the noon game because that's a 9 a.m. start for the locals. So they had to give us 4 so that it's 1 o'clock for the locals.
Oh man, my head's about to explode. What?
Everyone knows what I'm talking about.
I'm sure.
So thank you, Seattle, because if we were facing like Tampa Bay or something.
Thank you, Seattle. Thank you. Okay. The playoffs actually begin. Oh, by the way, that should be the theme song for the Blue Jays in the playoffs. Ballroom Blitz by Sweet.
Right.
You know the song, right?
Of course.
Are you ready, Steve? Okay. Andy? Mick? All right, fellas, let's go. That's what it should be. Boom, boom, boom. Like it's just let's go.
Sampled by the Beastie Boys and Hey Ladies.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm wondering if Alec Manoah had ever heard the song. I'd love to be able to get like that song to him. Say, Al, this is perfect, baby. Like I know Welcome to the Jungle and all that. Yeah. But that would be the best. Ballroom Blitz. Playoffs begin actually at noon today, Eastern time. Cleveland hosting Tampa. Little noon start. Little 9 a.m. BP today in Cleveland. Woo! At 2 o'clock, it's the Phillies and Cardinals in St. Louis. So that's 1 o'clock St. Louis time. The Jays Mariners at 4:07 Eastern time. And then the Padres and Mets at 8 o'clock in New York. The Mets fucked it up, eh? The Mets had to lead all year in the National League East. And then Atlanta caught them like in the last few days. Atlanta gets the bye in the first round. The Mets have to play in the wild card. They got the Padres. And then Saturday, another noon start in Cleveland. So let's say you're taking a trip to Cleveland. You're going, hey, you know what? We'll go see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Well, hey, a noon game on Friday, a noon game on Saturday. Cleveland. Jays game tomorrow afternoon, 4:07 is an elimination game.
Mm-hmm.
And the dome it'll be closed. Trust me, because it's like a high of like 9 or 10 degrees. And that's just a little too chilly, especially when the sun goes down.
Right.
Mets Padres are at 7:30, and then the Phillies Cardinals at 8:30. So you got to overlap. I mean, you got all these teams. There's only so many hours in the day, right? So a 7:30 game and an 8:30 game tomorrow. So yeah, lots of baseball on the weekend. Jerry Howarth, speaking of fabulous broadcasters, has been named a finalist for the Ford Frick Award for Excellence in Baseball Broadcasting. He's one of 10 finalists, which also includes Jacques Doucette, the play-by-play voice of the Montreal Expos en français for many years. Tom Cheek won this award back in 2013 with great help from Mike Wilner, who, man, if anyone had ever lobbied hard for someone to get into a Hall of Fame or to reach a certain status, that would have been Wilner. For Tom Cheek, and boy, well deserved. Tom would not have gotten in without Wilner's help. So that was great. So I worked with Tom for a few years. He won this award in 2013. Jerry did Jays games for 37 years.
Wow,
37 years. When you first listened, Mike, in 1983, as a young boy, and that 83 season, I followed that team. That was a great team. They were just coming of age. You were just seeing the glimpses of greatness. Bell, Barfield, Mosby, Tony Fernandez, right? Ernie Witt, Buck Martinez,
Willie
Steve,
Upshaw.
Willie Upshot first, of course, like, right? So Jerry, 37 years he did Blue Jay games. So anyway, just being, they say just being nominated, but he's a finalist. And I remember Jerry's first day at CJCL.
Hey.
Jerry had done games in 1980. Here's what happened. I did 3 games in 1973. 3 games? Yeah, in 1979. Early Win was sick. Wasn't really feeling well. And I think was getting tired of doing the grind of doing 162 baseball games as a broadcaster. So I did some games from when he was ill in September of 79. In 1980, I went to work in Montreal. And Jerry Howard started doing games with Tom. I don't know. I think Early was gone by then. I don't know if Jerry did every game. I don't think he did. I think he did a certain number of games with Tom in 1980. I was away. But then in 81, he got the job as the full-time, color man and a couple innings of play-by-play working with Tom. And so when he started, CJCL had just became CJCL. They just bought CKFH and changed the call letters to it, 1430. And Jerry Howard comes in. He's been hired, I guess, part of his deal was he was hired by the station to do color and play-by-play of the Blue Jays and also sportscasting in the off season. And so, he shows up in like it's like November or something, whenever it was. Like February. You go to like January or February. And like he's, reports for duty. He's going to do some sportscasts and all that. And the first thing he asked me is, Mark, I need to know the names of all these NHL players. I need to know how to pronounce them properly. I know my baseball players, but, I need to know the pronunciation. I'm going, okay. We went over seriously, like every guy in the NHL. Wow. Like how do you, is this, he would say it. And I said, no, it's Riho Rustalainen, right? Right. Right. It's Pekka Radicolio. It's all these names, Finnish names, Swedish names, Czech names, and all that. And Jerry, he repeat them and he got them all. And he that's how meticulous he was. He would not go on the air. He would not say someone's name unless he knew the proper pronunciation, which is the way it should, which is the way it should be. So, and 37 years doing Jays games, he deserves the award. So good luck to Jerry. Finalist for the Ford C. Frick Award for Broadcasting Excellence. That is a Hall of Fame award. You are a Hall of Famer if you win the Ford Frick Award.
Well, Tom Cheek had Mike Wilner and Jerry Howarth has Mark Hebsy.
Oh, I don't think there's any comparison there. Mike was a lobbyist if there ever was one, and he got people aware of Tom's accomplishments. 4,306 games, man. From the very beginning, this franchise, but also Tom, man, he was out on the road all the time. And Jerry too, across the country, all over the province, in all kinds of weather, winter caravans, introducing the players and managers and doing interviews and glad handing with the locals. Again, guy shook hands with thousands and thousands of people, probably got a cold from, guy, here, I sneezed into my hand. I shook Tom Cheek's hand. He was sick for the entire fucking trip to Saskatchewan or whatever. The man was great. A trooper.
And they named
died young.
Tom Cheek did die young. Yeah, for sure. Way too soon. But Jerry, who's still with us, has a street named after him near 6 Points there in
Yeah, absolutely. Good guy. Let's get to the real. Well, first of all, we should talk about hockey here because sort of lost in all of this is, the Leafs are starting their regular season next Wednesday in Montreal against the Habs. The NHL regular season begins in the Czech Republic tonight. In Prague, Nashville, San Jose. That's the official start of the season. How many years has it been since, like, when they started the season, it was always in another country? Like, when did they come up with this? So let's begin the regular season in some other country.
I can't remember, but yeah.
Oh, have some exhibitions games there, and then you'll come back to North America. You'll get your sea legs after a week or so, and then, you'll play the rest of your schedule. How insignificant early season games are in the National Hockey League. Let's have them in another country. So that's tonight. And then the regular season starts like next week for other teams. Like there's still exhibition games going on this weekend, I think. Because I'm looking, even online, I'm like, wait a minute, is this game, Leafs Detroit, is this a preseason game? Is this a regular season game?
So wait, you're telling me they're going to play a regular season game, but other teams will have exhibition games after that regular season game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
That's ridiculous. You have to have
it is. Isn't it ridiculous?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. But it's the National Hockey League. So, what do you
All right, but once you start that,
you're talking about
season,
a sport
no more
that
exhibition games.
Shoot themselves in the foot all the time. The NHL. They're just, I don't know. Anyway, it's still baseball season. I can't get into the Leafs yet. Not yet. Or the Raptors.
No, not yet.
Certainly not yet. I can't.
First.
Yeah. All my energy's got to go here. We'll get into those teams later in the fall. Let's get to the real hockey story now, the demise of Hockey Canada and what's going to happen to our national game. As you likely know, it's been nothing but lies and deceit and a toxic culture that's been allowed to fester for decades. Not one, but two slush funds have been uncovered, where money from amateur registration fees went directly to funds that were specifically earmarked for cases of sexual assault that will require cash payments to the victims in order for the incident to be swept under the rug. Now it's become a national obsession, and it should be. Burn down Hockey Canada. Get rid of those arrogant people who believe they can change the culture. We'll get rid of a few people, but no, we don't have to go. Despite the lying and the cover-ups and the deceit. Change the name. Change it to Canada Hockey. But do something. Develop a new ministry. Because you know what? This bullshit with, it's under the umbrella of the Heritage Ministry. There used to be a ministry of amateur sport. I remember Iona Campagnolo was the minister for quite some time. Otto Jelinek, around that time. This is several years ago. There was an actual ministry that dealt with amateur sport. And in that umbrella, somewhere in there was Hockey Canada, I guess. I don't know enough about politics, but I do know now that it's like, what ministry is that? Ministry? No, it's the Heritage Ministry. Yeah, it's sort of a sub ministry. It's like a subreddit. Well, it's about time, if we really care about the sport of hockey, and it's a part of our national identity, and it is, then it should have its own ministry. There should be something. Canada Hockey, Ministry of National Sport. Call it something and make it separate from the Heritage Ministry and all these other ones, all right? And make people accountable. And if it's got to come under government supervision or it's arm's length, then fine. But let's get it done. Because guess what? Canadian Tire, fuck you, Hockey Canada. Tim Hortons, fuck you, Hockey Canada. Esso, fuck you, Hockey Canada. TELUS, fuck you. Except for Nike. They've all dropped their sponsorship. And you know what that means, man? It means they've had enough. They don't want to have anything to do with any of this. The remains have to be blown up. You start fresh. I suspect they'll come back when they know that the governing body of hockey is on solid ground with top leadership that's been vetted and accountability. And maybe government control. What do you think, Mike?
I think money talks. And I think all these huge, sponsors jumping off the Hockey Canada bandwagon there. I think on your YouTube channel that Canada Kev says they were breaking their ankles from
right.
Jumping off the Hockey Canada bandwagon, and rightfully so. Now, I'm wondering, how does TSN present the World Juniors this Christmas break, this holiday, and how can they even do that? I don't even know. Like, can it even continue this year unless they make these radical changes?
Well, the ballsy thing to do it for TSN to say that they're not going to cover anything to do with Hockey Canada. Like they're just going to say not going to do it. And if it means they void their contract with Hockey Canada, we'll just blow up Hockey Canada and then you don't have to worry about it, right? Like what's Hockey Canada is going to sue TSN for not covering it?
So what's the delay? I don't understand what's the delay. You need to clean house. You need new leadership. You need accountability. This needs to happen yesterday. So why are they being so stubborn and that board remains in place?
I wish I could answer that for you. But the longer it takes for this to be resolved, look, parents have already paid their registration fees for this year.
Sure, I have. Yeah.
Right? Already, I believe I'm going to say Nova Scotia and Manitoba, Hockey Nova Scotia and Hockey Manitoba have both said that they're not going to charge these fees for registration. It's $3 fee per. Like, think about however many amateur players there are in Canada. Right. Every one of them has to pay a $3 fee that goes right to Hockey Canada.
And Quebec ties completely. Quebec
completely is now out of it. They've, disassociated themselves with it. And so, now the dominoes are going to fall and, eventually it's going to have to be completely overhauled. And that'll be very interesting.
Right? Well, you know what I say? When you lose the keg, you've lost the trust of a nation.
Is that what you say? Okay, here's the irony in all of this. We should be celebrating hockey. We should be embracing hockey, especially with the 50th anniversary celebration, acknowledgement of the Summit Series and the excellent documentary that has accompanied it on the CBC. So the irony here is, while many of us are watching this and going, oh God, what a great sport. Oh my God, remember, oh, this is wonderful. On the other hand, it's like, look what's happening. And now you look at Alan Eagleson on this documentary.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, convicted felon, took all this money when he was buddy with, like, think about Alan Eagleson. This guy was buddy. He was like the guy at Hockey Canada, right? It was just, they had him in his pocket and vice versa. And he was also a player agent, and he's also making arrangements for international competition and all this. Does this smell at all familiar? Right? In the culture of hockey? How many of us were shocked when we found out that Alan Eagleson was,
right,
expropriating funds and this whole deal like that, the pension fund crook. Oh, and this isn't going on and hasn't been for the last number of decades at Hockey Canada? Come on. Don't tell me you didn't see this coming, that this was, it couldn't happen again. We already went through this embarrassment before. Come on. Except the difference is those were professionals that got hoodwinked. Now this is amateur hockey, quote unquote, which is, we all know the amateur part is bullshit. Okay? How many of these kids that knew what was going on, that saw this gang rape, okay, call it what it is, in 2003 and 2018, and how many other ones that we don't know about because they've already been paid off? Come on, man.
Zero transparency.
You can go listen. We can go back to the Graham James with Theo Fleury, just Sheldon Kennedy. I mean, come on, it's hockey. How many times do hockey people get the benefit of the doubt because of their accomplishments on the rink? And, anyway, but the documentary to me just I wish I could enjoy it without the specter of death of amateur hockey in this country, like, looming. Like, what else are we going to find out about our hockey people and the names of some people? Like, how many people are finding out that really that coach there, the one that coached my daughter did this, or the one that coached my son is accused of that and this? I always suspected the yelling, the screaming, the abuse, but I never. Who knows what kind of stories are out there? I'll bet if you were to ask people, what do you really know? What really happened behind the scenes in minor hockey, in your experience? What did you know? And maybe you didn't tell or swept under the rug, or I'll bet you'd hear some real horror stories. Anyway, excellent documentary. Our friend Dave Bedini was the director. Actually, Ravi Baishwal directed, I think, the fourth and final episode. The music was fantastic in that documentary.
Yeah, he told me there was some
really
music they couldn't get because he wanted an April Wine song for one scene, and then Miles Goodwin asked for way too much money, and then he had to change. So it was interesting to hear how all that music to be, but great music. Yeah, it
was very good. And again, against the backdrop of the future of hockey in this country. But boy, do we love our hockey, man! When you look at that documentary.
I don't, if I don't know how they could not change this. It's got to blow up. We got to fix this. But let's say December comes around and we're still with this board stubbornly. I don't know why you can't remove this fucking board. I have no idea what's going on there. I don't get it at all. But who's going to have an interest for the World Juniors on Boxing Day in this current climate with this complete lack of accountability and transparency?
Good question. I hope by then it's resolved, and because it's always an exciting time, but
something has to give.
Well, I think you've got to get answers. You got to get answers to all the questions until they're resolved, until we know what happened in London in 2018, what happened in Halifax in 2003. That's why this investigation will have to be completed so that we all know, and it's all above board. And then you can move ahead with a new board of Canada Hockey or whatever. And successfully hold the World Junior Hockey Championships. Yeah, pretty sad stuff. Excellent reporting by the likes of the master to me, the finest sports journalist in the country is Rick Westhead. And Katie Strang also, who's at The Athletic, just doing tremendous work in uncovering and more shocking facts about Hockey Canada. Okay, football. You know what was really bad last night? The Thursday nighter, NFL Thursday night, was so bad in Denver that the Broncos fans in Denver left the game with the score tied 9-9 at the end of regulation. Thousands of them left. You see, Denver was leading 9-6. It was all field goals. And then they fucked up. And then Indianapolis, with like 5 seconds to go, kicked a field goal to tie the game at the end of regulation. So Denver was leading 9-6. They would have won a horrible game, but they would have won 9-6. And they gave up this field goal at the end. So as soon as he kicks the field goal to tie the game at 9-9, all these fans are leaving.
Mass exodus.
It's 9-9. Indianapolis wins it in overtime, 12-9.
Woo.
Yeah. Horrible game. Just awful game. Terrible. A full slate of NFL games this weekend. It's week 5. Is it week 5? Yeah. Anyway, Buffalo Bills at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Bills are a 14-point favorite. They're a good team. In golf, it's the Shriners Children's Open in Vegas. Play was suspended yesterday. Some Canadian content on the leaderboard. Adam Hadwin, Adam Svensson, Michael Gligic, all 4 under par, 4 shots off the lead. Whenever I mention Michael Gligic, I have to mention Crosswinds because he's from Burlington and Crosswinds is in Burlington and they sponsor us. And the fall colors are spectacular there. And the golf is always wonderful. You should go to crosswindsgolf.com and make your tee time online. Don't know. Well, you'd have to hurry, I guess, for this long Thanksgiving weekend. For those of you not celebrating Thanksgiving or where you live, there is no Thanksgiving at this time of year. Yeah. It's the 7th of October. Our Thanksgiving is on the 9th, which is Sunday. And then the Monday is Thanksgiving Monday, which is Thanksgiving for some, but it's not Thanksgiving. But it's a holiday, right? And then your Thanksgiving, if you're from the US, is like 6 weeks from now, right? Like you guys don't have it until like late November.
Right.
Your Thanksgiving. But
ours, too close to Christmas, right? Like, I mean, already you get a break. Why? Well, you don't need 2 back-to-back.
No, but the difference is this, is that here, Thanksgiving is not a big deal when it comes to shopping. Down there, Thanksgiving is a 5-day festival.
Sure.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday is Cyber Monday.
Right.
Keep that Thanksgiving feeling going.
Okay.
Right? And it's a month after Halloween. So in
Happy
the US,
capitalism.
It's like, boom, Halloween. Like a month later, boom, Thanksgiving. A month later, boom, Christmas. Like, let's go. Anyway, so it's our Thanksgiving. So Crosswinds would be beautiful. Weather's going to be lovely fall weather, beautiful colors. Check it out. I don't know if we haven't been talking much tennis lately because the matches are taking place other side of the world. Like last week, it was the Korean Open. And Korea, is like way too many time zones ahead of us. The matches are like in the middle of the night. And without even I kind of went, oh, geez, Denny Shapovalov is playing. And I remember 3 or 4 days later going, I wonder how he did in Korea on Sunday. Anyway, he lost in the final to who was he playing? I'm trying to think. Nishioka. So he lost last week. He was in the finals at the Korean Open and he lost in the final. And now he's into the semifinals in Japan at the Japan Open. He's going to take on American Taylor Fritz at 3 a.m. Toronto time. So, Shapo's had a really kind of strange year, was very ineffective for a good part of the year. I think Felix kind of took the spotlight away from Denny, but he's been playing really well lately. Ever since, I guess, the US Open, he's been playing terrific tennis. And good to see that, but I haven't seen any of the matches because, like I say, 3 o'clock in the morning, I haven't been watching a lot of tennis.
You don't set your alarm for 3 a.m. to watch some tennis from Japan.
Some tennis. See, if it was a big deal, if it was the final of the Australian Open or I don't know, something like I probably would. I did it with Bianca. Like when Bianca had her run back, man, I was up. Seriously. I mean, she had these matches in California or Mexico before that. I was like, oh, geez, what day is it? And yeah, it was great to follow. It was fantastic. I haven't heard much from Bianca. She hasn't been playing. Fernandez hasn't been playing. I guess they don't take that particular leg of the tour. I don't think they're huge matches anyway. They got to rest up because once the Australian Open begins in January, man, it's that's the big season there. Mike, anything else before we go? Anything that we forgot to talk about? Anything else that you wanted to discuss?
No, just that I can't wait to tune in to watch the Jays today, 4 p.m. And again tomorrow, like you said, an elimination game tomorrow, regardless of what happens today, 4 p.m. tomorrow. And hopefully we don't need the game on Sunday because I got things to do on Sunday. So
okay, well, I'm sure they're aware of that too. So it's good. It's good that they know people have stuff to do on Sunday.
Go Jays, go, right, Hebsy?
All right, go Jays, go. Happy Thanksgiving to you, Mike, and your family, and to all the fine listeners of this show. That'll do it for episode 304 of Hebsy on Sports, also known as the Thanksgiving playoff episode.
Love it.
Thanks to Toronto Mike, as always, for production and inspiration. Hit him up at Toronto Mike. He's always got some great guests on his show. Big thank you to our friends at Crosswinds Golf and Country Club in Burlington. Check them out at crosswindsgolf.com. Book your tee time online now. It would be really nice if you could write a nice review for even if you didn't like the podcast today. Write a nice review.
How could you not like today's episode?
Put a smiley emoji next to it. Do what the kids do. I don't know. Let some people know. And if you know anyone that's interested in sponsoring, have them hit me up. Crosswinds, of course, is our sponsor during the golf season. But then when the weather turns cold, they don't sponsor because, they're not open. So if you're interested, great rates available to you. And get in touch with me or Toronto Mike. You know how to do it. It's not that tough. Thanks for allowing us into your headspace. Have a fantastic Thanksgiving weekend for all those who are celebrating. And even if you're not, go ahead. Just say, I'm celebrating Canadian Thanksgiving. Go Jays, go. Back with another episode next week. Happy Thanksgiving. So long for now.